Hello guys and dolls, welcome back to the show, Conversations with Xalea. I'm your host, Xalea Lorraine, and today is Thursday, Valentine's Eve, 2025. Now, a few months ago, I did a poll on my YouTube channel, which movie do you want me to review, and y'all chose SoulPlane. And today, I'm going to review the hood movie tragedy known as SoulPlane. Now, SoulPlane, it was a 2004 movie directed by Jesse Terrero that stars KevinHart as a random Joe who becomes who, after earning money from a lawsuit over his horrible plane experience, decided to launch his own airline. And pretty much the whole gist of the movie is pretty much random things happening in an airplane for an hour and a half. So join me in pretty much reviewing this garbage movie. Now, for me, I remember watching SoulPlane as a kid, and even as a kid, I felt this movie was horrible. And I rewatched it as an adult a few years ago, and my opinion hasn't changed. Though, as I will say, is a subjective movie since this movie does have its fans. So your opinions may vary, but let's get into this movie. And considering the fact I'm going to discuss certain key plot points, even though there's no plot in this movie and it's just a non sequitur movie. There will be spoilers, so if you haven't watched this movie, don't listen to this episode. If you have no intention of watching this movie or already watched this movie, then you can listen to this episode. So let's go ahead. So the movie begins with narration. Is not a black movie without narration or exposition, where Deshaun pretty much discusses how he always loved airplanes as a kid, and we see a airplane fly over his house, which is kind of dangerously low. Then we cut to Deshaun as an adult, where he has a bad plane day. And pretty much everything goes haywire for in order what happened. First, he didn't get the dish they ordered because he wanted a chicken dish, but they only had this disgusting beef stroganoff dish, which winds up having them going to use the bathroom. And it's not a 2000s comedy movie with toilet humor. Then while he's using the bathroom, the plane hits turbulence, and amidst all the turbulence, one of the flight attendants wound up pushing a button that ejects all his belongings in his dog Dre. And his rear end gets stuck in the toilet, by the way. And this is pretty much the catalyst of a lawsuit where he pretty much gets awarded a bunch of money. I didn't even bother to look up the exact amount of money, but he won a bunch of money, and he decides to use said money to pretty much set up his own black airline, Deshaun Wade Airline, aka NWA. Get it? His airline shares the same initials as the hip hop group. And before we board the plane, we're introduced to some of the leading players in the movie. Some of the first characters we're introduced to is the white hunky family, spelled Hunkee. In case you don't get the hunky family, their last name is a slang term for a white person, which consists of Father Elvis, played by Tom Arnold, Heather, who's your stereotypical teenage daughter, Billy, who's pretty much your generic little boy, and his wife Barbara, played by Ashley from Bringing Down the House, and Violet's mom from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And the family, they get booked on the SoulPlane because of what happened with their original flight. And when we were introduced to them, we got these generic ass flight jokes, such as their last name be Hunky and the fact they just got back from vacationing in Crackerland, which goes to show just how elementary the stereotypical humor in this movie is. And then we're introduced to the sassy black women, TSA agents, Jamaica and Shawnee, played by Monique and Lionel respectively. And pretty much, we're introduced to them. They're too busy discussing pretty much what actor they're crushing on the moment, all while not doing their jobs properly, aside from stopping that one dude. And then the other passengers include Cherry and DJ, the nymphomaniac couple who spend the entirety of the movie screwing. Bugsy, KevinHart's cousin, played by Lameth who spends the entirety of the movie, has pretty much doing random things. The blind man, played by the late John Witherspoon, and they never just gave him a name, they just call him the blind man. And last but not least, there's the air crew, which consists of Captain Mac, a airplane pilot who just got out of jail, who was hired as pretty much as a hookup from Muggsy. Then Gaiman, the African co-pilot, whose name sounds like gay man. Get it? Which is a source of of a gag in the movie. And then the two main flight attendants, Flame, who's pretty much your typical super queer flight attendant, and Bianca, played by pre-Modern Family Sofia Vergara. And the other flight attendant, played by Sweet Pea's girlfriend, Baby Boy. And when we're introduced to the interior of the airline, there is super stereotypical. Namely, there's a 99-cent store, which a 99-cent store would not have. What is a 99-cent store doing in an airport? A basketball court and a Foot Locker and a chicken place. Oh my god. The stereotypical humor in this movie is cringe. Then Billy, randomly out of nowhere, becomes a poser / wigga just before they were about to board a plane. And this happens out of nowhere. Then meanwhile, Jamaica, while Jamaica is doing her job, she somehow mistook Mike from Why Did I Get Married for Denzel and winds up violating him, which is treated for laughs. I swear, like, man, it's because it's not a 2000s comedy movie without a male character's assault being played for laughs. Just watch the movie Norbit. Then we wind up boarding pretty much on the maiden flight. On the maiden flight, Nishan meets his air captain Mac at the last minute. And Captain Mac, as he said, just was a friend of Muggsy that just got out of jail and was recommended for the job. And then during their lunch, the plane starts. Oh my god! And this is the most cringiest part of the movie. The plane. Oh my god! The plane starts bouncing due to having hydraulics, which winds up which pretty much catches the attention of the airplane across from them, Texas Air, which consists of cowboys and guns, essentially, because they're Texan. I swear, man, the stereotypes of this freaking movie. And pretty much, a concerning fact, as I said earlier, there's no plot to the movie. It's just random crap happening in SoulPlane. So, and I'm not going to go all day with this, but I'm going to list all the things that happened, or the quote-unquote plot arcs of this movie. Deshaun winds up bumping to his ex, Gazelle, who doesn't know he's the owner of SoulPlane until watching his introduction video, which is accompanied by the flight attendant singing Survivor, which was one of the few funniest parts of the movie. Gazelle is KevinHart's ex that he dated in the past, and they broke up, but we don't know why they broke up. And KevinHart becomes upset when he finds out that Gazelle is engaged. Then the Hunky family, they pretty much wind up getting economy class, where they stuck with, where pretty much in the economy class, the passengers in the economy class, they're pretty much working or lower class black people, and they pretty much get the economy class treatment. Namely, their source of entertainment is those old timey TVs with where you have to bang it just to fix the antenna, antenna. But their meal is pretty much Popeye's chicken and Alizé with Colt 45 or Alizé. I'm not making this up. Their meal is a chicken meal where one person get one piece each, and their drink is Colt 45 or Alizé. Like I said, this movie is stereotypical AF. And Barbara Ellis, then with the Hunky family who are sitting in the economy class, Barbara pretty much winds up developing a crush on a well-endowed black male model from looking at the magazine cover, who conveniently is also boarded on the plane, and pretty much she leaves Elvis for Jerome. Then meanwhile, there's Captain Mac, who's kind of find out isn't really a certified pilot. He was really certified in jail. And not only that, but he has a fear of heights, despite the fact that he's an airplane pilot. Then there's the antics of the blind man, who's your pretty much typical elderly perv. And in one scene, he's shown trying to flirt with a woman who's played by the real-life wife of John Witherspoon, by the way. It winds up fingering a potato, which is... If anyone's asking, go watch the movie for yourself, because please believe me, go watch the movie for yourself to see what I'm stating here. He winds up fingering a potato, much to the chagrin and disgust of Bianca and the other passengers, and goes to clean himself off with the bathroom attendant, played by D.L. Hughley. And speaking of the bathroom attendant, there's yet another scatological joke in the movie when Elvis goes to use the bathroom. Like, this movie has juvenile level humor. Then there are two gags in the movie. The first gag is when Heather, who winds up turning 18 while on the plane, has a birthday announcement from Captain Mag, in which, after he mentioned the word players, a lot of random football players start running in the aisle just to holler at Heather. And then the second gag, which involved Gaiman, which Gaiman is in the bathroom, and one of the other co-pilots stated that he has to drain a monster. And when he makes the announcement, this causes Flame and a bunch of random gay people, including two priests, to pretty much run into the aisle just to go into the cockpit. Then we cut to Lil Jon and Ying Yang Twins singing "Shake It Like a Salt Shaker," with Muggsy interrupting the music video and Billy intervening. And Kevin pretty much tries to pretty much have some small talk with. Sorry about the earlier interruption. So, as I was saying earlier, Deshaun tried to have some small talk with Lil Jon and the Ying Yang Twins, which the fact that Lil Jon and Ying Yang Twins are in this movie pretty much states this movie because of the fact this is when crunk music was at its peak in the mid 2000s, and it's a 2004 movie. And crunk was a big genre back then. And Southern hip hop was at the peak of its popularity in the 2000s. And tells the director gets to roll camera, which the director, played by Chris Robinson, says that he's the one that runs the show. And pretty much Billy co-signs him, and Billy winds up recommending that he adds another female in the music video, which happens to be one of the flight attendants. Then randomly, Captain Mac dies from consuming, and I'm using air quotes when saying dies, from consuming Gaiman's African mushrooms for his crabs, which causes everyone to go in disarray. And Nashon makes up with his fiancée Gazelle, and it's revealed why they broke up. Namely, Nashon felt that he was holding Gazelle back after eavesdropping a conversation between her dad. Pretty much chastise her for pretty much putting everything aside for Nashon. And they pretty much make up, which even though we really don't care about it because there is no development regards to them making up. And pretty much everyone's figured out how to pretty much ride the plane, how to steer the plane, but Bianca comes to the rescue and decides to steer the plane from her smashing the pilot, and pretty much she steers the plane by making a lot of sexually suggestive moves, I should say, and the plane winds up landing on Central Park, but not the fake Central Park, a bare version of Central Park. And the 48 rims from the plane get stolen. Now, there are two different endings to SoulPlane. The first ending, which I'm not sure if that's the theatrical ending or not, ends with everyone celebrating the maiden voyage of SoulPlane by having a Soul Train dance line at Bugsy's nightclub. Which, how the heck were they able to fit a nightclub in that large plane? With Terry Crews' bouncer character doing some moves, and the Muslim dude that they made a 9/11 joke about dancing. I forgot to mention there was a Muslim passenger who pretty much gets side eyes from the other passengers because he's a Muslim, and concerning fact the post 9/11 hysteria regarding Muslims. He spent the entirety of his time in the plane being babysit by the CSA agents. And then there's the other version, which is a Where Are They Now version, where Deshaun and Giselle got back together. Elvis is dating Jamaica. I'm not sure about what happened about her, but Billy, the little boy, went on to become a music director, but disappeared after doing a Michael Jackson video. It's not a 2000s movie or show without some god awful MJ joke. And Captain Mac somehow was actually alive. He just fell asleep from eating those mushrooms. And when he wakes up with all his things stolen, in which he states that he should have went to Jet Black, which is another black airline, and that's the end of the movie. And here are my final thoughts. SoulPlane is a god awful movie. Your movie's bad and you should feel bad. Horrible movie. It's full of freaking stereotypes and dated humor, in which it's juvenile level stereotypes. Everything about this movie is juvenile. The jokes are juvenile. The stereotypes are juvenile. Everything about this movie is juvenile. They'll probably then do best to review this movie, but you can check out the two reviews of SoulPlane. One from Prince Hood Cinema, and one from this. And one that pretty much discusses all the sins in that movie. Or you can go and check out Devil Toasted's review of this movie. But anyways, I hope you enjoy this review and the next podcast episode. I'm thinking about postponing some podcast episodes, but there will be two new episodes I will be making. One which will be pop culture hot takes, and the other will be music hot takes. In regards to the rest of my podcast episodes that I'm postponing, I'm pretty much going to pretty much do some work on them. But anyways, I hope you enjoyed this episode. You can check out this show on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, or wherever platform it's available on. You can also check it out on YouTube, and where you can also follow, subscribe, and comment to some of my to this episode and other episodes on the channel. It was nice talking to you. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Hello, guys. Welcome back to Conversations with Xalea. I'm your host, Xalea Lorraine, and I'm back to give you a coda on the SoulPlane movie review. Now, the reason why I titled this review SoulPlane Walk Soap to Garage because I feel I didn't give a proper conclusion the final thoughts. So I was here to pretty much elaborate on my final thoughts and to give some proper context on the time period and when SoulPlane came out. As you all know, SoulPlane was a 2004 movie starring KevinHart as a ordinary Joe who has a bad airplane experience, files a lawsuit for the airplane company against them, winds up winning. And he decides to use his money to pretty much launch his own black airline. And chaos and hilarity ensues during the maiden voyage of the titular SoulPlane. And when the movie first came out, the movie flopped hard in the box office. Though what probably didn't help the movie's case was the movie being pirated. And over the years, there has been some opinions regarding this movie. There are some people that like it, some people that hate it, and then some that are in the middle. And to give a little bit of context of the time period which Soul Plane came out in, when the movie Soul Plane the movie came out in 2004, and we all know that the 2000s was the decade where lowbrow, low budget, pre-Tubi black movies peaked. Because there's a lot of pre-Tubi black movies that are like that has varying qualities of goodness or just flat out horrible, like Soul Plane, The Cookout, and its god awful sequel. Pretty much any movie made by Master P that time period, I can go on. In fact, in my next episode on movie, on childhood movie hot takes, I'm going to discuss that particular aspect. Now, Soul Plane, pretty much the gist of his humor relies on heavy, ultra stereotypical juvenile levels comedic humor, which was very common in 2000s comedies movies. Edgy humor, scatological jokes, hilarious grape scenes, especially when a man is involved when a man is the one getting assaulted. Juvenile levels humors, I mean, I can go on because it's. And then there's the parody movies, especially the copycat parody movies like the Stoltenberg parody movies. They all relied heavily on those 2000s comedy tropes. And Soul Plane is no exception. Now, I know I'm probably going to get a lot of hate in the comments because there are some people that say that Soul Plane is not that bad a movie, but Soul Plane, in my opinion, is a super horrible movie. I hated that movie when I was a kid, and I hated it now. Like, the movie relies heavily on pretty much stereotypical humor, which, don't get me wrong, you can there's a good way of using stereotypes, but the way they use the is like overboard. Like, for example, the token white family in the movie is named the Hunky family, spelled Hukkee, or I mean Hunkee. And the joke regarding their last name is that they're hunkies, which is slang term referred to as a white person, and they're the lone white family in the movie that boards the SoulPlane. And then the fact that Billy, the youngest, randomly becomes a poser Chad before they even board the plane, despite no build up. Then there's Heather, the daughter, who's just stereotypical teenage daughter. And I don't know, was it with a lot of media not portraying teenage girls properly? And then Barbara, the stepmother of the children and of his wife, winds up crushing on black guys all of a sudden. Oh wait, there's more. Then there's the flight attendants. Only two of them got more coverage in the movie. Namely, Flame, played by Gary Anthony Williams. He's pretty much the over-aggressive, overboard gay person who pretty much makes advances towards any male character. And there's Bianca, the extremely stereotypical, spicy, sexy Latina played by Sofia Vergara, and she pretty much helps save the titular SoulPlane from crashing by doing these suggestive moves to land the plane. And don't get me started on the TSA agents who are not only sassy black women but sex crazed black women, so sex crazed that one of them winds up assaulting a dude she somehow mistakes for Denzel Washington. Like, come on. And then there's scatological humor. My biggest pet peeve in movies is scatological humor, namely fart jokes, because they're like how overplayed they were. That's one of my biggest pet peeves in humorous movies or in just movies and TV in general. A fart joke. Literally, literally during Kevin Hart's ill-fated flight that led to the lawsuit, he winds up while using the bathroom, he winds up farting up a storm. And then when Elvis has to use the bathroom, he winds up making a lot of fart noises, all set to push it by Salt and Pepper. Even with that scene, I had to rewind that. I literally had to skip that scene because of how cringy it was. But yeah, but yeah, Soul Plane is pretty much a product of its time in that it's a 2000s comedy movie with dated jokes and heavy lowbrow crass humor. And there are movies of this ilk that were out that back then. And Soul Plane has Tubi level quality. Like Soul Plane is something that you will find on Tubi movie, much like Masterpiece whole catalog. And speaking of Masterpiece, go check out Bro with Glasses videos on Masterpiece. Because last week I watched Bro with Glasses review of this garbage sketch comedy movie called If the Shoe Fits, where in most and the majority of the sketches was pretty much dated. Pretty much sketches consist of dated lowbrow raunchy humor. Like literally, the first sketch of the movie is the random character having a crazy nightmare about Michael Jackson, claiming that Michael Jackson is deceased, even though at the time the movie was made, Michael was not even dead yet. And the jokes about Michael's the same old stupid freak jokes. Creep jokes, and it ends with fake Michael Jackson popping out randomly into the view. View. But this is common in a lot of 2000s comedy movies, and I wish I would elaborate in my previous video. But yeah, Soul Plane is still a bad movie. Like I know there are some people that like this movie, but it's super bad. It's a very bizarre movie. And thank you for coming on my TED Talk. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.